Hello, my fellow readers. This is I, Dark Symphony 777, with another fan fiction reading. As always, a link to the story will be in the description below. Please like the video, subscribe to the channel, click on that bell for notifications, and leave a comment in the comment section below on your thoughts of the story. Now, the next story we are reading is Silent Language by Flake Blood. It is a Castlevania fanfiction, so let's just get into this. This is actually Lament Innocence. I'm actually kind of worried before I actually read the story. Lady Armister actually read this. She wasn't impressed. I was like, I gotta read. If she's not impressed about this, then I gotta see what this story is like. So let's get started. With blades at his back, Julian jumped, pushed off the cave wall, and barely somersaulted over the swords which embedded into the rock with ringing thrust. Turning, he saw the vampire he fought floating off the ground, three more swords circling menacingly. "Here!" the vampire shouted, flinging one purple-clad arm out. Leon darted around, fending off the blades with strong strikes of his whip. They had been fighting for several minutes, and Leon's muscles were burning from all the acrobatics he'd employed to avoid the various attacks sent his way. "Are you just gonna dance, feeble human?" Leon blocked a few more blows before speaking. "Jokan, we don't have to fight. You and I share the same goal." "Killing Walter?" the vampire asked with a sneer. What makes you think I would need the help of something as pathetic as you?" During his last words, he flung his arms up, and Leon had to sprint closer to avoid streams of fire which appeared from the floor. But the distance between them shortened. Leon managed to get in a few hits on Jokan before the vampire swords caught up with him. One caught him with a glancing blow to his arm, and Leon could only be glad his enchanted glove had caught the worst of it. The fight continued in that manner, both participants growing more tired. Leon noticed he had a couple of advantages. For one, his whip, granted power with the alchemy, had already grown stronger due to the monsters he had battled throughout the castle. Each blow he struck against Jokan bit into him with more force than any normal weapon would have, leaving the vampire speeding and grounding out curses at each one. Further, one detail, a weakness, had caught Leon's eye. Each time Jokan threw the swords, he employed all about the room in an effort to skewer Leon, and to take the time to call all the blades back. It gave Leon precious few seconds between vicious attacks. So far, Leon hadn't had time to counterattack during the reprieve, instead coping down healing potions he had gotten from Ronaldo. Even so, it had given him a significant advantage in stamina. Leon only had rumors and tales of vampires to go off of, but their healing and other supernatural abilities had always been said to be powered by human blood. Though he had been injured throughout the fight, Leon had never let the vampire near enough to feed from him, and it seemed Jokan was, in fact, slowing down. With that comfort in mind, Leon dodged all the swords aimed at him, and they were definitely moving slower, then moved in, landing several strong hits. Jokan screamed, a snarl on his face and something like desperation in his red eyes. He threw his arms up, bright light the only warning before sharp golden blades burst forth from the ground between the two. Leon was forced to dodge around while keeping his distance, the vampire summoning more blades each time he tried to dash closer. Finally, Jokan seemed tired. Hovering back across the prison, Leon raced after him, determined to take advantage of his temporary weakness. Jokan dodged the first few strikes before he got caught. The whip wrapped around his leg, and a firm tug slugged him face down on the ground. Howling in frustration, surprisingly he didn't immediately get up, as Leon had anticipated. Instead, when Leon loosened the whip and sent it at the vampire with a solid crack, it landed squarely on Jokan's back, drawing a pained yell. Leon stood in shocked stillness. He didn't wish to torture the monster. So, with his enemy still facing the floor, harsh breaths rattling his lips, Leon barked out his question. "What is the Ebony Stone?" Silence. Then a giggle which grew into unsteady laughter. Leon felt the heat below him and nearly cursed. He would not be deterred, not when he was so close. He dodged forward, escaping the gout of flame and landed on top of the vampire, his knee digging into his lower back and drawing a pained grunt. Like this, close to his enemy, Leon knew his whip was at a disadvantage. Reluctantly, he removed the silver knife from his belt, placing the tip above the back of Jokan's neck. "I don't want to ask again," Leon said. "Get off me, filth," the vampire spat. Leon pushed the knife further to still his struggling. Leon waited, patient. As a knight, he had learned silence and steady pressure often broke men before demands did. Soon enough, his patience was rewarded. An unsteady laugh rumbled through the vampire. Do you think yourself strong? Think you can kill Walter this way? Walter has the ebony stone, he spat. Walter. Leon recalled that to be the name of the vampire who ruled the castle he currently trapezed through. It is a source of power, then. Yes, it is power. You fool. Joe Cam had grown very still, which unsettled Leon. But it cannot be combated by wretches like you. Another vampire with the Crimson Stone could match him now. Or the Grim Reaper. Spoilers for Lamb of Innocence. A frown curved Leon's lips, purling as he thought. Surely the Crimson Stone was not the only way. If that were the case, then Sarah... Where is the Crimson Stone, Leon asked, and why would a vampire need it? If I knew that, do you think I would be wasting away in this prison? He spat. Do you think I would choose to stay here, waiting for Walter's attention? Dog. Joe Khan began shaking, conversely making Leon still even more, until he felt like a statue waiting out an earthquake. A low sound accompanied the quibbling, growing louder. Leon finally recognized it as an animal like growling. He has the only stone that's been found, and no one can defeat him. So he thinks he can do whatever he pleases. To humans, to his subjects, to me. His words bit off with another growl. Leon, too, took a deep breath and spoke in the strongest common voice he could muster. But what do the stones do? You've not been listening, maggot! Jokan's voice grew shrill. I have. Yet you have not explained what makes them so special. Jokan shrieked in fury and bucked once, so Leon held tight and pressed the knife harder into the skin like marble. Jokan stopped and said, They are power for vampires. Ancient. The ebony stone is how Walter maintains the eternal night around his castle. With the Crimson Stone I could be free of this place. Watery grave. You can't leave, Leon wondered aloud, then nearly hit himself. Of course not. The vampire had mentioned it, but he thought he meant the castle as a whole, not this one room. After all, he was a guardian like the others Leon faced, perhaps not willing like the others. Leon needn't have worried about punishing himself for his thoughtless comment, as the vampire seemed happy to try. His swipe backwards to reach Leon was sloppy and weak. Luckily, it was slow enough for the former knight to dodge, flinging himself backwards to put distance between them as he readied his whip. Starting and stopping, jerking limbs into place as though fighting his own body, Jokai pulled himself into a crouch, one hand still splayed on the ground in an apparent effort to steady himself. The glare he cast over his shoulder burned bright, even partially hidden per strands of his silver hair. I believed you foolish and reckless, not stupid. Underestimated the depths to which humans can sink. A deep frown curved down Leon's face. Walter taunts me with you? Said the filth to torment me with my own situation. Hate him. Leon tightened his hold on the whip, letting it unfurl as Jokan turned to face him, still jerking his limbs like a broken marionette. Was that behavior normal for a vampire, or a side effect of being trapped and possibly deprived of blood? In one standing, Jokan kept up the litany of curses against Walter, with each utterance of "I hate him" spoken with such intensity and venom. Leon firmly believed the words would have cut into the vampire lord's soul, had he had one still. Despite that, the ferocity was not aimed at him. Leon laid the sign of the cross over himself, a subconscious protective gesture. Whether set off by the emotion, the intent, or simply tired of waiting, Jokai lunged for him, clawed hands outstretched. Leon dodged, curved his whip around, but he was too close for it to be effective. As the vampire moved in, Leon braced himself and caught one swipe on his glove, absorbing most of the damage. Surprise ran through him at the weakness of it compared to Jokai's previous attacks. On instinct, Leon threw off the vampire's balance and brought up the knife still in hand and plunged it into the dip of the chest armor. It glanced up a rib before sinking partially into the cold flesh. Jokai screamed. He and Leon both jerked away from each other, the knife stuck in his ribs. He looked up, eyes glowing red, but holding desperation more than anger now. Lips curled in a snarl as he opened his mouth, then closed it. He did it again, but once more closed it, saying nothing. Eventually, murmuring low, Jokai spoke. I hate him. A tremble shook his words. He sounded broken. The guard dog asked to fight. too many times. Orcs were being thrown into battle after battle with no care for condition. Leon wondered, should he move forward? If he did, for what reason? To plunge the knight in further, or... The vampire answered his unasked question. He reached up and grabbed the hilt, jerking the blade out without bothering to maintain a grip. It clattered to the floor, bright sharp sound stinging as it hit stone. Leon's attention had been so focused on the weapon, he briefly caught the high-pitched whine building from the vampire in front of him. When he heard it, he looked up from the ground and locked eyes with Jokai. The red eyes slowly flickered, revealing a rolling storm cloud hit gray beneath. Voice small and breathy breaking from his throat, the vampire said, I hate... Before it transformed again into a whine. As he sank down to his knees, the sound grew louder, pulling and pulling until he was shrinking pain from the depths of his being. Leon swallowed, transfixed. Fighting was probably over and done with. Jokai hunched over on the floor, wailing incoherently in the manner of someone who lost everything. Leon felt uncomfortable with how desperately human it sounded. He was surprised how well he understood. With the grace of a fighter but the tenderness of a soon-to-be husband, Leon moved toward the distressed vampire. Jokai made no move towards him. He didn't even acknowledge his presence. Lashes sewed from beneath the torn fabric of his arms and legs, burned and bruises not healed. Thick, dark red blood dripped slowly from the vamp knife wound, already congealing. Leon coiled his whip and hung it from his hip. Yeah, that rhymed. Twice he opened his mouth, wanting to speak, but thinking better what he was about to say. Eventually, he crouched down, wanting to be eye level if Jokai decided to look at him. Jokai, he asked, hushed, afraid to make a sound louder than the struck vampire. The wailing continued unabated. With the care he had only shown children before, Leon reached out one hand. Since he couldn't see Jokai's face, long silvery locks hanging down like bed curtains, Leon brushed a small portion aside with his fingers. The wailing stopped temporarily as Jokai's breath hitched. Vampires even need to breathe. Surely not. But then admit Jokai was startled. Jokai, Leon asked again, but received no answer behind some ragged breathing. The vampire wasn't looking at him. Leon moved his hand to his shoulder, squeezing it in an attempt to get a reaction. What did you mean about walk? Leon jerked at the plane of wine which pulled itself from Jokai, low and mournful and scared. Yes, Leon realized, between his subtle shaking under his fingers and the hunched possession, the vampire demonstrated fear. It looked similar to the fear and despair Leon had seen in some captives of his company's conquest. He had always wished he could help them, somehow, but he was their enemy. The reason behind their defeat and capture could not console them. Here, though, he was not. Walter was. Shoulders sagging a great weight. Leon felt disappointed in himself for not putting it together sooner, though he supposed he had been drawing into battle quickly upon entering the room. Walter ruled the castle and surrounding lands. He kidnapped people and turned them into vampires. Jokai was trapped here, forced to fight by Walter, and clearly hated him. Walter had turned this man. Moved and dismayed by his discoveries, Leon threw caution to the wind. He wrapped his arms around the melancholy man in front of him. Again, his breath hitched, but sooner than Leon expected, Jokai was moving further into his hold. His weight pushed Leon into a sitting position, and Jokai crawled into his lap before settling down, practically melting in Leon's gaps. The hitching breaths grew in intensity until Leon held a sobbing vampire. When he felt cold skin against his neck, he stiffened. Sure, he was about to regret his choice. How could I be so foolish? Even when I fought this vampire not minutes ago, I practically offered myself up. Matthias had always chided me my soft heart, and Matthias, he will lose another friend. Sarah will be alone in this place. Excuse me. No bite followed. A few awkward moments passed, the tension in the air matching that in Leon's own body. By a sudden response rigidly, Jokai noticed, the vampire quieted, still hiccuping, but muttered apologies as he pulled away. Leon saw his face and his heart twisted. Rather than watery tears of humans, it seemed vampires cried blood. Crimson red, carved thin passed down Jokai's face. The salty scent lighter than the blood Leon smelled from wounds, but undoubtedly too coppery for tears. Though he kept his eyes and face downcast, Jokai's expression, pinched eyes for trembling lips, was perfectly clear to Leon. His stomach twisted. It was an expression Leon had never ignored. When Jokai made the push completely out of Leon's embrace, the former knight sighed, sealed himself, and gently pulled the vampire back toward himself. Surprisingly, he resisted, whimpering, "I'm sorry. I'm sorry." The wounds from the battle must have taken more out of Jokai than Leon realized. His vampiric strength had been reduced to that of a tired human man. Leon was easily able to fold the vampire back into his arms. Determination broke through his hesitance, and he ran his fingers through silver hair in soothing strokes, just as he did for Sarah. "Come here," he said. "It's all right." He made small comforting sounds as Jokai's breath hitched again, and allowed the vampire to nuzzle back into his neck. "Just don't bite me." Jokai nodded, and croaked something which could have been an assent if it had been intelligible. When he continued to shiver, Leon grew worried. A vampire couldn't die as easily as a human, right? But Leon had never fought vampires as a knight. He knew little to nothing about them, and his lack of knowledge worried him. Now, for the first time, Leon wished he had Matthias at his side. Still, he wasn't, so Leon would try his best to work the situation out on his own. "I don't want to kill you, Jokai held deathly still. Was he listening? We both want to see Walter dead. You should work together with me." A full body shiver ran down the vampire. Otherwise, there was no response. Leon frowned. What else could he do? As much as he was willing to attempt to comfort the man, and even work together with him for both of their benefit, he had to leave behind Sarah soon. Every second was critical. As he debated on his next actions, wiggling in place to get more comfortable, he felt Jokai tense. He moved again, and the vampire tensed further. What? Then the realization hit him. His whip was right against Jokai's leg. "Why didn't you say anything?" Leon asked, more to himself than anything. Jokai did not respond. Several thoughts ran through Leon's mind, like, what if this is all a ploy to remove my weapons from me? And the contradicting, but what if I'm really hurting him? Eventually, Leon decided to take the risk, but keep the whip close enough for an emergency. If he wished to make an ally, he had to give him the benefit of the doubt. Jokai tensed as Leon took hold of the whip and did not relax until Leon placed it on the floor, on the edge of his reach. "Is that better?" Leon asked. "I promise you, that wasn't intentional. I would surely prefer that we ally against Walter." The relaxation of the vampire's muscles seemed purposeful, as though he had to force himself to do so. Before Leon could ask or reassure him he didn't mean any harm, Jokai began to move. It took a few moments for Leon to recognize what Jokai was doing, but the small hip thrust clued him in. Warmth rushed to his face and lower body as he fluttered his hands, unsure where to place them. Confused and embarrassed, squeaking sounds and grunts spilled from his lips as his brain filled in his body's sudden heat. It didn't help that Jokai was firmly latched onto him, arms circled around his shoulders and back. Leon was trapped, though not in the way he expected. "Jokai?" Leon squeaked. "I won't betray you," Jokai said, voice low but intense. "I promise. I promise." "That's good." Leon bit his lips. His body had started to take notice of the gentle grinding, and it took concentration not to respond. He shouldn't enjoy it, for several reasons. Wait. No. Why? Why? Is this rated M? Oh, it's rated T. Okay. Where was I? The only man he had been physically close to was Matthias, but they both knew dedication to their future wives would take first priority. In fact, he had come to save his betrothed, so he couldn't get distracted with the vampire. He finally settled his hands on Jokai's shoulders, meant to push him away. However, he could not contest with the desperation the vampire put into holding on. His complete turnaround confused Leon, but he did not have the heart to keep pushing when Jokai started to whimper. "Please, I promise," he said. "I don't want to be here anymore." Okay, this is getting weird. Leon swallowed, a question bubbling into his mind, even as he held it behind his teeth. How long have you been down here? Jokai was clearly upset at Walter, and to have such hatred towards his lord, assumingly the one who turned him, it had to have been a long time. Leon tried not to think of it. The image of this man wasting away in this dark, unable to leave despite his powers, a pawn in a game he wanted no part in, threatened to consume his heart in boiling rage. His emotion felt scalding, and he had to take several deep breaths to keep them from appearing as holy magic. Jokai, I would like to take you. To help you out of this prison, Not yet. I don't think it's safe. Jokai's whimpers grew louder, turning into pleading whines as he tilted his head. Something soft and wet met Leon's neck. Teeth scraping along his skin made him jolt. Jokai! Leon choked back an undignified sound as the vampire mouthed up and down his neck, sucking and teasing but never breaking the skin. Still, it went beyond the boundaries Leon was comfortable with, and he worried about his body responding to his direction, so he grabbed a fistful of silver hair and pulled as gently as he could. The ease with which Leon detached Jokai was explained when the vampire moved to expose his neck. An offering. Oh, merciful Lord, Walter didn't. But he did. There was no other reason for this behavior, for Jokai's imprisonment, for how weak he was after just one battle. Smoothing down the hair he grabbed, Leon placed both hands alongside Jokai's face. Jokai, please look at me. Oh, my God. Oh, it was actually decent, and now it just went completely sideways. Why? Why is it going in the direction it is? I don't understand it. He did, and his eyes were red, and half hidden under his lids, like the sun as it set. Leon stared back. The only thing he saw was a quiet emotion. Jokai was waiting, listening, but with an unnatural calm, as though nothing could shake him. Acceptance. Proudly trained for it no matter what he heard. Shivers ran down Leon's spine. Ignoring the slow thrust, Leon spoke deliberate but soft. Jokai, I'm sorry for everything that's happened to you. I swear I'll get you out of here. He didn't think anything had changed at first. Red Eye still stared back at him, but his hands still on his back tense, claws just barely pricking at the cloth there. A smile would not come to Leon, now with every discovery still whirling through his mind, but he hoped his sincerity showed through his eyes. If water is a problem, well, I've altered the flow, but I'll carry you out if I have to. Blinking red bled away from Jokai's eyes. Leon's shoulders slumped in relief. Yes. I'll come. I'll help you with water. The way the vampire spoke sounded questioning, as though he was offering something he wasn't quite sure of. No, Leon said, then stroked Jokai's jeans as he tensed. I'll kill Walter. You don't have to face him again. You have my word. You. Jokai squinted his already slanted eyes, hands now graspingly desperately at Leon. You don't know what you speak of. I mean it. I promised. Lips curling down, through still shaking in an unknown emotion, Jokai spat. You haven't listened to anything I said, Hunter. You cannot kill him. Leon felt his own frown pulling on his face. I will not make you face him. Laughter spilled from Jokai, condescendingly, except for the fear in his eyes and the hands as they refused to leave Leon. Make me? You think you could stop me from attaining my revenge on that bastard? What? I don't intend to stop you on any good. That is decided. I will rest, and you will. Jokai glanced away and looked back and swallowed. You will free me and then accompany me to fight him. After opening his mouth, Leon saw the determination in the vampire and the hard look in his eyes and the tightening of muscles and shut his mouth. He nodded. All right, but I know of a better place to rest. Show me. Jokai demanded, or tried to. His voice wobbled, same as his legs as he attempted to stand. Leon caught the man around his shoulders. Just hold on. It took effort, but Leon stood himself up while supporting Jokai's weight. I do not need this, Jokai hissed. His body betrayed his weakness when he attempted to pull away, but he could not even remove his arms from around Leon's shoulders. Relax. I said I would carry you if need me, didn't I? A moment of rumbling was abruptly cut off as the vampire sagged. Leon adjusted his stance to lift him more easily. Very well, Jokai said, though his eyelids drooped and his head lolled against the man holding him. He still attempted to command. Go on. And then, let's be gone to this wretched place. Leon chuckled. Agreed. As he walked, worried about his decision, pounded at him. Nothing in this castle has shown kindness, only proclivities for violence and killing. Yet just looking at the vampire in his arms as he attempted to shuffle along, fangs glinting, Leon could not regret his decision. Perhaps there was immunity to be found in dark creatures. If one was kind themselves. I have mixed feelings. It started off good, like not great, but good. And then we got the weird homoerotic subtext that was not only completely out of left field, but was completely unnecessary in this story. Like, it made no sense for that to happen. Like, I get it, like, because Walter's been living a long time, of course he would probably swing both ways. Oh, but in that context, in the story context of that whole middle part where Leon was holding Jokan, and then Jokan just starts randomly dry humping Leon, and then Leon's trying not to get turned on. That completely was just unnecessary. I mean, it was at least it was written pretty decently, but it was largely unnecessary. Like, you can cut out all of that, nothing would change. Like, you could have him keep crying, and he's like dry heaving, and and Leon's just patting his back and stuff like that, not dry humping. It was like that is just out of nowhere. Completely does not fit the story outside of Yaoi, and it completely kills the story, in my opinion. I think if I would change anything about the story, I just simply add it, because just get nothing more needs to be said. Just get rid of it. That's just my opinion, because it just turned in a completely unnecessarily weird direction that should not have been went. Like, if you're going like an erotic story, fine, I could see it. Like, if you're going in an erotic direction, but you're not. You're going. It's more like a guy. A guy. He's like broke. He sees another guy broken. He's like, okay, I'll just try and help him out. Cheer him, and then all of a sudden it gets like just weird. It's like The Rock said, "Why don't you turn that piece of story, polish it real nice, turn that some bitch sideways and stick it straight up your tiny ass." That's how weird it is. Again, it's at least competently written, but it's just wholly unnecessary. Like that's it's either, as much as it would be very awkward. It's either you gotta get rid of it, or you gotta make the story erotic. You gotta it's one of the two. Get rid of it, make it erotic, make it as full-blown yaoi as possible. Either way is good. As it stands right now, I can't give it any higher than a 3, because that section is just so left field and completely unnecessary that it ruined the story. The ending went back to like how it felt from the beginning, like decently, like showing what, just helping out, being, guy helping another guy out. Nothing really wrong with that. It's that middle part with all that homoerotic subtext was just did not need to be there, unless you're going like full homoerotic, like full blown homoerotic. I would have read a yaoi story. I would have said this is not safe for kids, all that whole thing on my YouTube channel as a video, like while I'm uploading. But I still would have read it, and it would have fit just as well as just getting rid of that whole thing. Just switch it with like Leon consoling Jokai, and that's it. I can't give it any higher than a 3. I could see why Lady did not like the story. I could see why she didn't like the story. It's not bad. It's just, oh my god, that part just destroyed it. That's my reading of Silent Language. This has been Dark Symphony 777, and cut.